Howdy folks, hope you're all having a good one, and welcome back to World of Warships with Rear Admiral Jingles, where today we have something of a game of extremes for you in this Tier 10 brawl here on the trap match. This is Stalin's Hand. Yeah, tell me you've been watching my World of Tanks KV2 videos without telling me you've been watching my World of Tanks KV2 videos. And he's in the British Tier 10 battle cruiser, technically large light cruiser, yes really, HMS Incomparable. HMS Incomparable is what you get if you take the battle cruiser concept, remove any trace of caution or common sense, and run with it until you hit a brick wall. It's basically the world's biggest light cruiser with the world's biggest guns. These are 508mm or 20-inch guns. This ship was actually planned, although realistically it was never ever going to be built. It was estimated that even if constructed as planned, it would only have a 10-year service life before it was functionally obsolete. And it just wasn't worth building. Plus, while Britain's armaments industry were technically capable of constructing 20-inch gun barrels, given the nightmares that we'd suffered constructing the 18-inch gun barrels for the Courageous class of battle cruisers, it was realistically never going to happen. In-game, of course, Incomparable is armed with 6 of these 508mm or 20-inch guns. And as you can see, she's pretty fast. With a base top speed of 33 knots, although with a swift and silent skill running and with access to an engine boost, she can go significantly faster than that. Bearing in mind that speed, the fact that these gun turrets weigh thousands of tons each, the amount of engines required to propel something carrying this much tonnage in guns to that speed. Oh, that was beautiful timing. Oh, right as the Petro appeared, in cover behind the island, able to fire without getting spotted. Well, you can imagine that for something this size, moving this quick, serious compromises had to be made somewhere, and yep, it was in the armour. Which is why this thing's technically known as a large light cruiser rather than a battle cruiser. It looks like the Des Moines over there really wants this spot behind the island as well, which is a shame because they can't both have it. I mean, they kind of can, but there'd have to be some separation between the Incomparable and the Des Moines, so the Des Moines could shoot over him without shooting through his superstructure. Now, unfortunately, they have just lost sight of the targets there because the Napoli, who was horribly exposed and did the right thing, popped his high-speed smoke, losing sight of the enemies. So Stalin instantly pops his engine boost and slams the ship into reverse, right at more or less exactly the same time that the Des Moines does the same thing. They just can't get out of each other's way here. If you're wondering what was the point of this ship, rather than just taking the battlecruiser concept and turning it up to 11, it was actually designed for the First World War invasion of the German Baltic coast. The Admiralty just wanted ships with the biggest guns imaginable to cover Russian troops landing on the German Baltic coast. The plan never happened due to Russia suffering a little bit of a revolution at the time. So inconvenient. But since the ship was never really supposed to be going up against any kind of serious naval opposition, armour was very much an afterthought. It's not that the thing is completely unarmoured, but it's very, very much a battle cruiser and not a battleship. A bit like the Schlieffen over there, with 25mm bows, which guns of this calibre, hell, guns of the Schlieffen's calibre can easily overmatch from the front. She's not completely unarmoured though. I mean, realistically she kind of is, but she does have some 127mm belt protection, which means that you can, if you angle it, get lucky and take some shots on the belt. Kind of in the same way that the Schlieffen over there can. But what that kind of belt armour is not going to protect you against is when you're getting hammered with the secondaries of not just the Schlieffen, but also the Libertad over there. Because the deck armour on this thing is pitiful. Stalin starts inching forward and gets some island cover between himself and the Libertad's much more dangerous secondaries, although the Schlieffen's secondaries are nothing to be ashamed of either. Initially it looks like the Schlieffen is turning to try to get torpedoes away. inviting a broadside bitch slapping of epic proportions from Stalin's 20-inch guns, but no, he was in fact just turning to attempt to avoid the Napoli's torpedoes. It's here where the Schlieffen either gets outrageously overconfident or simply just makes a fatal error of judgment. Even though the friendly Napoli did just die at the hands of the enemy Libertad, the Schlieffen over here has overcommitted and would have been far better off continuing to the left into the island cover in the direction of where the Napoli sank. Instead, he's coming out, attempting to get some torpedoes away. Well, he's managed to get the torpedoes away, trying to at least take down the Des Moines with him, and failing utterly. He did manage to get one torpedo into the Des Moines, but it's going to take significantly more than one torpedo, so the Schlieffen could 100% have survived that very, very easily, but instead he chose violence, with the Schlieffen's demise narrowing his team's points lead to a mere 200. Although they... oh dear, Libertad, what on earth are you doing? Well, the good news for the Libertad is he's taken out the Des Moines, extending his team's lead to nearly 400 points. The bad news is that in order to get the kill on the Des Moines, he didn't have to do anything. He chose to sail out broadside on in front of 4 20-inch guns, and he chewed on a big fat citadel for his efforts. He also appears to have forgotten that the Incomparable has torpedoes. Although, to be fair, the point-blank range triple citadel that he just chewed on meant that the torpedoes ended up being completely unnecessary anyway. It's here where I have no doubts that the Petropavlovsk starts to suddenly regret his decisions in life. Because with both of the cap circles and a 400-point lead, getting into a close-range gunfight with a battlecruiser armed with guns of this caliber is the last thing that the Petropavlovsk wants to do. I'm sure he really wishes he was elsewhere, but he can still win. Very, very easily, in fact. Can you guess how? The clue's in the scores. You see, when a match ends because both teams have lost all of their ships, the victory goes to whichever team was ahead on points at the time, and the Petropavlovsk is 400 points ahead at the time. So instead of attempting to do a drive-by, scoring some citadels and winning the match that way, which only results in his sucking on a whole bunch of those incomparable torpedoes that we mentioned earlier, what he should have done was use his ship as one big torpedo, go for the ram, take the incomparable down with him, and then they would have won on points. Don't want to be too critical of the Petropavlovsk. I mean, there was only one way that he could have possibly won that match, and that was by ramming Stalin's incomparable here and taking it down with him, and he didn't have a huge amount of time in order to come up with a solution. So he ended up trying the next best thing, which ended up being the worst possible thing he could have tried to do. Oh well, never mind. Too bad. Which means Stalin's had not only won this battle, I mean, obviously he won the battle, but he won it inflicting 200,000 damage on the enemy team, which does not seem like a lot. I mean, we've seen people doing 400,000 and more in World of Warships videos in previous weeks, but they were doing those in random battles, and this was a 3 versus 3 brawl. A 3 versus 3 brawl in which he inflicted 200,000 damage to an enemy team that only began the battle with 217,000 damage to begin with. Which means that if my back-of-the-napkin maths is moderately correct, Stalin's hand just did 95% of the entire enemy team's hit points in damage on his own, which is pretty impressive regardless of how you slice it. And on that 20-inch gun-armed bombshell, that's it for today. Hope you all enjoyed it, and as always, take care, and I'll catch you next time.